Okay, so what we do need to set up first in AutoCAD before we start to draw these lines and circles and all that other good stuff, or import lines, whatever, what AutoCAD needs is a few settings established for it. Okay, just like how we went in Rhino, where we had to go to the tools option and then set the units, um, set the grids and all that. We do need to do that with AutoCAD as well. For this one, you could go into the command and type in units. Okay, so first thing you do when you get into a new drawing, type in units. Type in units on the command prompt and the drawing units dialog box will appear. We should set the length type to architectural because we are working in foot and inches as an architectural drawing. Precision, for this drawing that we're going to do, 16th inch is fine. You do have separate different options of 0 inches, 1/2, up to 1/256th of an inch. When we're doing fine machine work, yeah, you'll need that. But for architectural work, I mean, if you try to measure this building, we could be off by 2 inches or sometimes even 3. So for most of the parts, I think leaving it at 16th would be fine. Eighth inch would be fine too. The angles we'll leave at decimal degrees. All of these other angle inputs we will probably not be using except for the surveyor's units a little bit later. Okay, precision, let's put it to like 3/0 and that should be very precise enough. Okay, so every time you do this, you'll see a sample output over here. Okay, the units to scale insert content is inches. Okay, just like how we put the units in Rhino, we are putting the scale units to the default of inches in AutoCAD. That way, when you put the Rhino drawing, transfer it over to AutoCAD, it'll stay the same size. Okay, please remember to keep the same units. If you don't, when you put it in, it might be 12 times bigger, okay, or 12 times smaller, whichever units you set up in either program. So let's try to keep it consistent in every program. If we can set it up to inches, then everything should transfer somewhat flawlessly. Okay. Lighting we won't really use, so there is the final setup. So architectural precision, it's up to you, but we'll put 16th for now. The angle, decimal degrees is fine. Precision, 3/0 would be okay, and units is in inches. And after that is done, type in OK. Second thing when you get into a new document in AutoCAD is that we need to set up limits. Now limits is kind of an antiquated thing. We usually don't need it for most part, but it does help in certain drawings. Limit sets up a range of area in your workspace of, you know, how big your drawing is going to be, how big your building is going to be. Just like how in Rhino we selected inches small object or inches large objects, foot large object, whatever, right? This will kind of tell AutoCAD to, yeah, plan for a area about yay big, okay? That way it reserves enough area so that, you know, it has in mind about the location that it's working. So go ahead and type in limits, okay? And when you type in limits, these command prompts will pop up, okay? And first thing it says is specify lower left corner, okay? In Rhino, we had that little seaplane with the little grid on there with the UCS symbol right there. It's just like that. This green line is the Y line, this red line is the X coordinate line. we're going to start our drawing at 0, 0, which is right at that origin. So if you would like that to be the origin, all you have to do is type in enter. Whatever is in these carets is the default. So if you type in enter, that's what it's going to select, or that's what it's going to input. And with a lot of commands in AutoCAD, there's going to be a lot of these carets for the default dimensions. And you could set those dimensions yourself as well as you keep drawing other stuff. Okay, so the second thing that the limit thing is going to ask you for is what is the upper right corner. So we established the lower left corner. Now we have to establish the upper right corner. Okay, so for that, let's type in something like 20 foot, comma, 20 foot. Okay, that means that in the x direction, it's 20 foot. In the y direction, in the x direction is first, and the y direction next, it's 20 in the x, 20 in the y. And that could be anything you really want. It just depends on how big your building is going to be that you're going to draw. Okay, so if we accept that, we could just say enter, and that sets up our limits. We could always change the limit again. So if we type in limits again, and up at the lower left, I'll accept the default, and the upper right, if I type in 30 foot, comma, 20 foot, now it's changed from 20 foot to 30 foot in the x direction. Okay, so again, you could change that anytime you like. When you have trouble zooming in and out, that might be part of the problems where you have not set your limits large enough. Okay, so whenever you have problems with the zoom, you might reset your zoom, or I'm sorry, you might reset your limits. Okay. The next thing we have to set up is the snap. Okay, so type in snap in the command prompt and enter. Just like the limits, there is a default, and mine says 1/2 inch. I think I'll just accept that, so I'll just say enter. Okay, and then the next thing I have to type in is, or set up, is the grid. Okay, so for the grid, I might type in like 1 inch. So as a default, we set up the unit as in inches, right? So if I just type in 1 without the inch symbol, it will understand it as 1 inch. Okay, so I could even type in, 12 inches for 1 foot. So the next thing, that basically sets up our setting. So now we can say zoom, and then let's just say all. And that kind of brought us out to the extent of our limits.